A chair, if you have one, and particularly for those who consider themselves in the lesser flexible category, a strap, either a yoga belt or a resistance band, or even a bathrobe tie, is a nice prop to have today. Now you know that I hide the light switch, my secret behind the painting. And we'll get started. So here we are, the 5th of Shvat, the month of Shvat. And the Torah portion today, Bo. And of course, Martin Luther King Jr. today. So we'll address those things. Please have a seat. It can be in the chair or it can be on the floor, cross-legged, or however you're comfortable. Just find your sitting bones. In connection with the chair or the mat, however you're seated. You might allow the eyes to close. And the spine to lift. And the shoulders to soften just a little. And bring the attention for a moment to the jaw hinge particularly, right in front of the ears. You could even take your hands there, give it a little massage in circles or just gentle movement downward with the finger pads. The jaw is a place that we often hold a lot of unnecessary tension, so just a reminder to soften. And you could bring your hands back down. And pay attention for a moment to the coming and going of the breath. You notice that breath arises and then pauses for a moment, kind of sustains, and then falls away. Pauses a moment, begins again. So no need to change or fix or do anything to the breath, simply allowing it to come and go. And check in for a moment, notice how you're feeling in your body, in your mind. And just a check-in. Let's take a couple shoulder rolls, drawing the shoulders up towards the ears and back, squeezing shoulder blades together, and then down. Taking a few circles, slow and easy and nice. Just saying good day to these shoulders. And then see if you can slide those shoulder blades down the back a little bit. Let them be. And take the gaze over the right shoulder. Lengthen the back of the neck. Lift the spine from the base of the rib cage. And back through center. And cross the horizon. Soft gaze. Take the gaze over to the left. And go a couple times back and forth, just following the range of motion of your own head and neck, not pushing it, just waking up those cervical vertebrae. And then come back to center. And take the hands to the kneecaps. Just take a little bit of cat and cow, whether you're seated in the chair on the floor, it's the same. So as we inhale, We lift, we start to arch, we roll to the front of the sitting bones. The spine lifts, the heart lifts, maybe the gaze lifts too, the shoulders draw back. You could even draw the hands up the thighs towards the hips. And as we exhale, belly to spine, rolling to the backs of the sitting bones, curl, crown of the head forward, a nice C curve, maybe the hands come to the knees. And back and forth like this. And take it as it goes for you, as it feels good in your own breath. Inhaling as you arch and exhaling as you curl. And if there's a place along the way that you'd like to pause and just breathe into, do so. This is really your time in your body to honor what's here. All the awakenings, all the aches and pains and bothers, and pay some heed. Just listen and be present for what's there. As you're ready, coming back to center, finding what we call a neutral spine, a tall spine. And draw the navel in slightly to protect the low back. And we'll take a couple side bends. So inhaling the right arm up, you can take hold on the side of the chair if you like with the left hand. As you exhale, take a side bend over to the left. Ground both sitting bones and extend through those right fingertips. Ground the right sitting bone. Inhale up through center, you can windmill and change. And then as you exhale, take a side bend over to the right. Grounding that left sitting bone, extending through those left fingertips. And again like this, inhale up. Exhale to the side. If you have any shoulder limitations, feel free to bend the elbow or just even keep the arm down as you come to the side. Again, just take it where you are today. Finding a nice opening across that right side of the rib cage. And then inhale, come on up, and exhale, side bend. On your next inhale, come on back up, both arms up, palms facing. So you might be parallel, but you might take it wide or even kind of a cactus arms. Again, however feels right in your shoulders today. And then see if you can lift the heart just a little more from both the center of the chest and also the center of the back between the shoulder blades, right? The heart space, both places. Lift up from there, maybe even take the gaze up as you send sitting bones down. Inhale, and then as you exhale, bring those arms down as you continue to press the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, coming back to center. And now we're going to take an easy twist. Inhale, lift the spine. And as you exhale, twist to the right. Squeeze out the air. Inhale, come back to center. Fill the lungs. Fill the side ribs, the back ribs. Exhale, twist to the left. Take this in your own breath. Again, mine might be a little longer than yours or shorter than yours. Inhaling center and exhaling to the side. You can take hold wherever you like, on the inside of one knee or the outside of the other. You can take hold behind the chair and pull a little. See what works for you. Mostly we're looking for this flow. Inhaling center and exhaling twist. Remember to keep the gaze on the horizon and nice and soft as you go. Sort of a curiosity with the eyes. Feel that gentle spinning of the rib cage. And again, if there's a spot where you feel particularly tight, pause there. Maybe you breathe right into that spot. And then as you're ready, coming back to center. You can take a little wiggle. Notice how you feel. I'd like to share a little bit of teaching. So, Parashat Bo. It begins with God saying to Moses, Bo el Paro. It gets its name from the first word, first prominent word, because I think it begins Vayomer Adonai el Moshe. Yod He Vav He says to Moshe, Bo el Paro. Go to Pharaoh and share with him that I'm going to basically bring the last 3 of the plagues. And I want the Pharaoh to let my people go. That takes up most of the Torah portion, the final 3 plagues. And finally, the Pharaoh saying, okay, get out of here already. I want to look at these words, Bo el Paro. Now, the translation usually says go to the Pharaoh, but Bo, it doesn't mean go, it means come, actually. If you've ever seen somebody call a dog in Israel, they'll say, bo, 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 boi, boi, boi. Come, right? So if it were go to Pharaoh, it would say lech lepharaoh. And the rabbis have puzzled over this, long puzzled over this. And the teaching is that God is not saying, I'm sending you alone, but I'll come with you. And also a sense of, in the mindfulness lens, we look at this bo el paro, this sense of coming into the space which is the Pharaoh, i.e. affliction, tension, closed-heartedness, right? There's so many moments in these portions here where it talks about Pharaoh's heart being hardened, the sense of where the heart is hardened, where things are unpleasant or where they're difficult. And I will be with you there. And I want to read a short little piece from Rabbi Yael Levy's book, Directing the Heart. This is an excerpt on what she says about Bo, come toward. The plagues have been raging and the infinite calls, come, step toward. Ready yourself to leave all that has been. Mark your mezuzot, your doorposts with blood, and make a commitment to remember always this journey of becoming. The Pharaoh waits, Moses approaches, and God calls. Bo el Paro. Come toward me. Come toward the hardened heart. Come toward your terror, your pain, toward the nightmare, the cry, and you will find me here. And the heart will crack open and you will emerge free. I am wherever you seek me, in hardened hearts, in tender shoots, in blood-soaked freedom, in the possibilities of a new life. I am within the pain and I am on the other side. The journey is always, and I am calling you home. So I think that this day is auspicious because there's no greater exemplar of this idea of coming toward the Pharaoh, coming toward the difficult, the not just the difficult, the practically impossible, than the example we have from Martin Luther King Jr. And so I want to honor this very important day, and specifically as it's placed this week just before an historic inauguration, and just read a few quotations from MLK Jr. just to see how they sit with us. They seem 300% as timely today as when he spoke these words. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The time is always right to do what is right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. These are separate quotations, various separate quotations. The limitation of riots, moral questions aside, is that they cannot win and their participants know it. Hence, rioting is not revolutionary but reactionary because it invites defeat. It involves an emotional catharsis, but it must be followed by a sense of futility. Man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. That is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil, triumphant. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And lastly, nonviolence is absolute commitment to the way of love. Love is not emotional bash. It is not empty sentimentalism. It is the active outpouring of one's whole being into the being of another. No, one more. One more. We must build dikes of courage to hold back the flood of fear. So I think that's the sense and the invitation of Bo El Paro, of stepping into the tight places, the difficult places with a curiosity, with a compassion. How can we make that approach with compassion? So in our practice today, I want to look largely at the hips and the back of the legs, the hamstrings, and just gently come there with some compassion. So if you have your chair, again, it's optional. You can face the chair. I'm going to start with a simple forward fold. The legs can be together if you prefer, or hip width apart. Let's take the hands to the hips. Find a nice mountain pose, grounding the four corners of the feet, inner and outer heel. Mound of the big toe across the front arch to the little toe. Press down as you inhale and lift the heart up. As you exhale, fold forward at the crease of the hips. And again, you can take this, as always, where it works for you. That might be to the top of your chair. It might be to the seat of the chair. You may come all the way down if you have blocks or if your hands go to the floor. You come down as you need. The legs are straight. Micro bend behind the knees. We never want to lock them out, particularly for anyone who has hypermobility, hyperflexibility in the joints. Want a nice long sacrum and lumbar, low back, sending the tailbone away from you and the crown of the head away in the other direction, first finding that concave spine. So you might just hold it here with the concave long spine. Sometimes we call it the flat back position. Or you might go from here once you've established that and begin to fold deeper. That is up to you. If you're folding down, let the head go. Continue to press the feet down evenly. See if you can draw your thigh bones back. Very subtle instruction. You might feel, if you're able to catch on to that drawing of the thigh bones back, that it makes a bit of hollowing in the abdomen. As you're ready, come on up. We're going to take downward facing dog on the chair, or again, if you're more flexible, you might like to take downward facing dog on the floor, a traditional upside down V. If you're taking it on the chair, or you can take it with hands on the wall, bring your hands to the chair and step the legs back. So again, we're finding that L-shaped position, and now we're adding the element of extending the arms, opening the armpits. If the hands can be on the upper part of the chair, or once again, they can be on the seat of the chair, maybe the sides, and you draw back. If you're a little more flexible, maybe you take them to the arms, the legs of the chair. Right, so I'm just offering a few modification possibilities, a few options and ideas. And any of these, of course, if you're not on the floor, help to protect the wrists if you have trouble with your wrists and don't like to put pressure. So find that length of the spine. You can sort of pulse in and out of it every few breaths just to find the organic sense of movement within the stillness. See if you can take the outer upper arms, the triceps that is, try to roll them down as you turn the inner elbows, the eyes of the elbows up toward the ceiling or toward each other. Press down on the chair, find kind of an isometric action here. As you're ready, come on up. If I stay longer in the pose than is comfortable for you, please feel free to come out earlier, come out, go in. If what I'm doing doesn't work for you, maybe you find something else that feels better in your body. Please, as always, the invitation is you do you. Okay, we're going to take another forward bend. So left foot forward and the right foot is back. The right toes are angled forward and the hips are squared forward. So we're bringing the right hip, really like drawing it around forward. Both legs are straight. Generally in this pose, heels in line with each other. If you have balance concerns or if you're pregnant or if this is just simply too tight for you, widen it out, widen the legs. Okay, hands to the hips. Inhale, take the tailbone down, lift the heart up. Send that right heel down to the floor, insist on it, and exhale, fold forward again from the crease of the hips, and you can take the hands to the chair. You can take, again, to the top of the chair, to the seat of the chair. You can come to hands to forearms. You can come down the chair. More flexible people, hands to blocks or hands to the floor. But again, we want to find a sense not of a rounded spine, but of a concave, long spine. Draw that left hip crease back in space. Take it back. So keep insisting that your shoulders are in line with each other, hips facing forward. Crown of the head away. If you notice that your breath starts to get constricted or tight, ease out. Ease out. So we're coming to this idea of bo el paro is to come to the edge, right? The place where your body just goes, you don't want to go too far, but you find that edge where you can start to enter the discomfort, the tight place, and begin to breathe into it so that it starts maybe to dissolve. As you're ready, come on out, switch legs. Right foot forward, left foot back. And notice how it might be different on this side. You might want to take the legs wider or less wide on the second side. So left foot back, toes are pointing towards forward. Back heel is down to the extent possible. Draw that right hip back in space. Bring the left hip forward. You can shorten or lengthen the stance as you need. Inhale, lift the heart, press the heels down, and exhale, fold forward once again. Okay, so as you come forward, the big directive in this posture, in this asana, is to take that right hip back in space. See if you can do this, again, coming into tight spaces with compassion, with God's presence, right? Not alone, with a sense of breathing room. Do it slowly, methodically, so that we don't overstress this body so that we don't do it with striving or with the ego or with haste. Finding our way into the beauty of this pose. And then as you're ready, lifting on up, step the feet together. Okay, now we're going to take one leg up to the back of the chair. So I'll show you what I mean here. Standing on the left leg, we're going to send the right leg up, right? So if that sounds like crazy idea to you, and I put a little bit of a blanket over the back of the chair to protect my Achilles, you might take the leg to the seat of the chair. For balance, you can hold the wall. If you like, again, a couple of options, and you can just go into this if you feel comfortable. If you'd like, you can have your back against the wall and the chair in front of you. Or you could also take something like a block or a stack of books or something like that. Or, you know, if you wanted to just play with bringing your leg up a little, like so. More flexible people, you can take a strap around the foot and send the leg out in a standing position, right? So left hand to the hip, the right leg extended. So that's possible. So all of those are options. And even if you're more flexible, it can be so nice to have the chair. And we're all simply working on bringing that right hip down, squaring them. So wherever you are, probably we've been here a while with my talking. So let's switch sides. Again, as you wish. Strap, freestanding, hold the wall, chair. Taking the other side. The right leg is the standing leg, and the left leg extends. Same idea as we had in the forward fold. See if you can draw that right thigh back. Again, you find maybe that it helps to hollow out the abdomen a little bit. And the left sitting bone, the left outer hip, send it down. You can even take like a horseshoe on your hand, place the thumb in that notch at the top of the thigh, and just send that thigh bone also down. And then come on out. We're going to switch sides. And this time we're going to take the leg laterally. So, standing with the chair to the side, standing on your left leg, just bring your right leg up. This would be this simple gesture for this pose. And again, you can also be with your back to the wall if you'd like the support of the wall. So my right leg is out to the side. Either just knee bent, place the foot there, or leg extended to the chair. Again, dropping that outer left hip, or more flexible, and take the strap, or take hold of your big toe, if that's possible for you. And the leg comes out to the side. You work on balance, you work on extending the leg. So wherever you are, wherever you'd like to be today, finding this pose, hips even, dropping that right sitting bone. You could have the hands at the hips, help with stability of the hips. Soften the gaze. Beautiful. And then wherever you are, let's switch. So standing on the right leg, and bring that left leg up. And you might find you want something else on this side than from the first side. Extend through that left heel. Let that left sitting bone drop. It's what we call an external rotation of that left thigh, right? It's rolling out. Inner groins are coming up. Outer hip is going down, kind of to help help extend the leg. Okay, let's release when you're ready. Okay, the next thing I would like to do is just take a simple stretch of the quad. So taking hold of your right thigh, just bend the knee. You can take hold at the ankle, you can hold onto the wall, you can hold at the chair. You could also simply take the leg behind you to the chair, or even lower the floor to a block. Whatever works for you. Just give this quadriceps a stretch, taking the right heel toward the right buttock. If you want to go further with it into dancer pose, coming forward, again, your pleasure to bump it up or down at any time. And then switch to the other side, bending the left knee. Another possibility too is to take the strap around the foot. So there are always options, right? You want to protect the knee. You want to get a nice stretch of the hip flexor and the quads, wherever you are. And then release as you're ready. Okay. Let us come down to the floor. Come to lie on your back. If you want some extra padding, you can lay some padding down. So we got a little opening to the front of the hips and to the thighs. We're going to bend the knees and place the soles of the feet on the floor. Let's take a moment to just pause here and feel this reorganization of the body in this new relationship to gravity. Let's notice the places that are heavy to the floor. See if you can let the spine, let the whole torso in particular, the whole body be supported. We're going to work our way into bridge pose. I'm going to do it slowly. And again, you can take this at your own pace and your own desire for movement today. We're going to just start with a little bit of pelvic tilt, right? So take a nice inhale deep into the belly. Notice that as you do that, you naturally start to have a bit of arch in the lower back. And as we exhale, draw the navel to the spine. A little bit of a curl, the tailbone starts to move up. Inhale. Roll down towards the front of the tailbone. Let the belly lift a little bit. Little slight arch in the pelvis, in the low back. And as you exhale, navel to spine. Press the low back into the floor. Tailbone towards the ceiling. So just a little pelvic rocking with the breath. Inhaling. A little bit of arch. Little mouse could crawl under your low back. And as you exhale, really press that low back to the floor, tailbone up. Just notice what happens as you go back and forth. And then come back to neutral. Particularly notice any sensations across the low back. How are you doing today in that area? It can be tender. It can be one of our pharaoh areas, right? As can the hip flexors, all parts of the hips. And now we're going to start to come up into a bridge. So, I want to say also, if you have the belt, and if when you come up, you don't clasp hands and you might like to use the belt, you can. You can place it around the fronts of the ankles and then just sort of leave it there. This is one option here, to hold on to the belt. You could also hold on to the sides of the mat. Let's inhale deeply. Feel that little arch again, and then exhale. Navel to spine, and begin to lift the hips up. Holding on to the sides of the belt or the sides of the mat. Not a super duper lift, but just maybe a halfway to this bridge. Pause here. Shoulders are still wide. You're not snuggling them under you quite yet. Widen the collarbones. And simply press the feet, particularly the big toe mound and the inner heel, into the floor. Think more about lifting the hips and the thighs and not so much about squeezing through the buttocks. Try to let the buttocks be easy. Knees are parallel. Breathe. Let some sensation, some heat begin to build. And as you're ready, exhaling slowly, lower down, one vertebra at a time. We'll come up for a second round. It could be the same, it could be less. You might want to place the low back on a block, or it could be more. You might go higher. You might even go into a wheel if that's your practice. So inhale, exhale. Begin to press navel to spine, lengthen the tailbone. Let that lengthening lift the hips, lift the thighs, and now wriggle the shoulders under you. So maybe you're holding onto that strap like I am. Maybe, again, you're holding onto the sides of the mat. Maybe you're wriggling shoulders under you, catching opposite hands, clasping and extending the knuckles towards the heels. As you lift the center of the chest, lift the breastbone, lift the hips. Breathe. Going into the center of what is difficult, with courage, with love. You hold as long as you like. And when you're ready, release the hands, widen the shoulders, and begin to roll down the spine, vertebra by vertebra, until you reach the floor. When you get here, pause. I'm going to take a little twist before we close. So inhale, lift the hips and just scooch them an inch or two to the left. Draw the knees in toward the chest. Inhale. And as you exhale, let the knees drop down towards the right. The arms can be out shoulder height, long. Keep that right shoulder, that left shoulder, grounded as the knees come over to the right. Draw the belly towards the spine. Feel into that twist. Inhale, bring it up through center. Take the feet down to the floor for a moment, and now press into the feet, lift the hips, scooch them an inch or two over to the right side. Draw the knees back in. Inhale here. Exhale, take the knees over to the left. Try to keep the knees high as you come over. Grounding through that right shoulder blade, extending out from the shoulder through that right arm. These places that glitch, that cause us tightening, oftentimes excessive tightening, as mind and body are so deeply interwoven, interconnected, interrelated. If we take these moments, Bo el Paro, to come into this tightening, this challenge, this difficulty with love, not with fear, and with great courage too. We can begin to sort through the personal affliction, the personal conflict, which then helps us to move out into the world with more stillness, clarity to do the work we need to do for justice of all kinds. And as you're ready, inhale, come back to the center. You give the knees a hug. Right, we practice the yoga on the mat so that we can take the yoga off the mat. You don't want to leave it here. You might take circles with the knees. One direction and then the other direction. And then as you're ready, preparing and moving into stillness, extending the legs long. And if that's not comfortable for your low back, bend the knees, soles of the feet on the floor. And take the arms by your sides. Turn the palms to face up. If you're wearing glasses, remove your glasses. Allow the eyes to close if it's comfortable. And taking a few minutes to come into stillness. Nothing you have to do and nowhere you have to be. Just letting the body take some moments to integrate the work, integrate your efforts. Mr. Iyengar said that Shavasana, this final pose, is the most difficult of all the poses. That achieving this state of surrender, where the body's still, where the mind is still, is the most challenging. And as you're ready, beginning to deepen the breath. Wiggle fingers and toes. If you're able to spend some more minutes in Shavasana, if you have the time, go for it. Extend your practice a little. If you're closing your practice, begin to make your way up to a comfortable seat. Come toward the hardened heart. Come toward your terror, your pain, toward the nightmare, the cry, and you will find me here. And the heart will crack open and you will emerge free. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Shavua Tov. Wishing you a good day, a good week. Please stay safe, everyone.